They thought abandoning me in a foreign country would be funny. What they didn't expect was that I'd rise from that betrayal, stronger than ever, and meet someone who would change everything. My name is Clara Donovan. I'm 29 years old. And this is the story of how betrayal turned into liberation, and how being left alone in Sweden became the turning point of my entire life. It was 7:00 a.m. in Stockholm when my phone buzzed. A text glowed across the screen, and with every word I read, my stomach twisted into a knot. You should have seen your face while you were asleep. I couldn't resist. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Consider this an adventure. The message was from Liam, my long-term boyfriend. His suitcase was gone, the bathroom counter cleared of his toiletries, and the only thing left in our hotel room was me, abandoned. When I called the front desk in panic, the clerk's calm voice told me everything I needed to know. Yes, Miss Donovan, your partner checked out at 3 a.m. He took the airport shuttle. He mentioned you'd made separate arrangements. Separate arrangements? That was a lie. I pulled up our flight confirmation, 2 tickets booked together for 6 p.m. back to Chicago. But when I called the airline, my blood froze. Your companion, Mr. Hayes, changed your booking yesterday. He flew out on the 6 a.m. departure. Your ticket has been moved to next Wednesday. I was stranded for 5 more days, alone. This wasn't entirely out of character for Liam. He'd always prided himself on being spontaneous. Once, he invited 50 people to my tiny apartment without asking. Another time, he spent our vacation savings on new DJ equipment he used twice. But this wasn't impulsive fun. This was cruelty. I sat in the hotel lobby, my chest tightening, wondering what to do next. That's when I noticed her. A woman about my age, blonde hair tied back, dragging a suitcase covered in stickers from every corner of the globe. She had a laptop bag slung over her shoulder and eyes as blue as the Baltic Sea. She caught me mid-conversation with the clerk as I explained my situation, and her gaze softened with empathy instead of amusement. When our eyes met, she introduced herself. Elin Bergstrom, a marine biologist from Gothenburg in town for a conference. That's horrible, she said after I explained. Being left alone in a foreign country. That isn't a prank. That's betrayal. The word hit me like a revelation. Betrayal. I had been calling it a joke, trying to normalize it, but Elin named it for what it truly was. Elin helped me call the US Embassy, guided me on using local transit, even offered to accompany me if I needed. Why are you helping me? I asked. In Sweden, we believe in lagom, balance, fairness. What he did wasn't fair, so I'll help you find balance again. For the first time in months, I felt seen. Over the next few days, Liam's texts shifted from smug to irritated to desperate. Why aren't you responding? You're overreacting. It was just a joke, Clara. A joke? Like leaving your partner stranded across the ocean was the same as switching the TV channel or hiding car keys. Meanwhile, Elin showed me a Stockholm tourists never see. She told me stories of her grandfather's cafe, took me through cobblestone streets of Gamla Stan, and introduced me to colleagues who welcomed me warmly. For the first time in years, I had conversations that didn't revolve around fixing Liam's chaos. On the 4th night, as we stood in a park overlooking the water under a pastel pink sunset, Elin asked quietly, "When you talk about your relationship, you always describe what he does, but never what you two build together. Why is that?" Her words cut deeper than I expected, because she was right. Liam's spontaneity always came at my expense. He took, I adjusted, he demanded. I bent. Elin looked at me gently. In my research, when one part of an ecosystem takes without giving, it destroys the whole system. It becomes parasitic. That's what this sounds like. I couldn't argue.
Day 6, I made my choice. For once, I planned something not around Liam, but around myself. I spent the day with Ellen. We ferried to a small island called Vaxholm, where colourful houses lined the shore and locals greeted her by name. We shared cardamom buns, wandered the fortress, and talked about our dreams. My dream is to see Japan, I admitted. Their engineering fascinates me, the way buildings bend with earthquakes instead of breaking. Then why haven't you gone? She asked.
Because Liam said it would be too overwhelming, too crowded. She tilted her head. But what do you say? It had been so long since anyone asked me what I wanted. I say I want to see it. Then you should. By day 7, Liam was calling non-stop. When I finally answered, his voice was panicked. Clara, this isn't funny anymore. Come home, we can laugh about it later. Explain the joke to me, I said coldly. Where was the punchline in abandoning me in a foreign country? You're too rigid. I wanted to make you adventurous. No, you wanted control. That was the last call I answered. Over the following weeks, I stayed in Sweden longer than planned. Elin and I grew closer. First friends, then something more. She showed me what respect and kindness felt like in a relationship. Meanwhile, Liam's world unraveled. Friends stopped defending him when they learned the truth. My family, once convinced he was just playful, admitted they'd been wrong. His reputation crumbled. By the time I returned to the US to collect my belongings, the divorce papers were already in motion. Liam was a story people whispered about, the man who thought cruelty was a prank. And me? I was free. 1 year later, I stood on the deck of a research vessel in the Arctic Circle, working as an engineering consultant for Ellen's climate project. The midnight sun glowed across the horizon, and I realized something profound. Liam thought he had left me powerless. But his betrayal gave me the greatest gift: clarity. Because sometimes the person who tries to burn you down is the same person who unknowingly lights the path to your true life. And I chose to follow that light. If you've ever been abandoned, mocked, or underestimated, remember this: their cruelty is not your ending. It can be your beginning. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Tales Between Time for more stories that cut deep and stay with you.